Hey guys, today we're going to be going over diagonal lashing, so hang in there and we'll get right into it. Alright guys, for diagonal lashing, the things you're going to need, you're going to need some rope to lash with, 2 poles to lash together, and a knife to cut your rope to size. Along with that, you're going to want to know how to tie a clove hitch and a timber hitch. Alright guys, so once we cut our rope to size based on what we need, and that's going to vary based on your project and your pole sizes, we're going to get our diagonal lashing going. So this is very similar to square lashing. This is actually considered easier than square lashing when you're being taught, for the sole purpose that it doesn't start with a clove hitch. So this lashing, unlike the square lashing, is going to start with a timber hitch. So we're just going to make a timber hitch. So for those of you who don't know how to tie your timber hitch, there'll be a link in the description to my video showing an in-depth detail of how to tie the timber hitch. So we're going to take our timber hitch and we're going to start by coming underneath our 2 poles. Now what we're going to do is take the longer end away from the loop we made for our timber hitch, and we're going to feed it back through the loop. Now we're just going to pull it down, and now what we're going to do is we're going to cinch the 2 poles together with that timber hitch really tight. So this is our base. This is where everything starts for diagonal lashing. So now that we have the cinch going this way, that's how we're going to start our diagonal lashing. So to do that, we're just going to follow the timber hitch and do 3 wraps around through these 2 sides. So just like this, coming under and back over, making sure we're pulling tight. Pull it nice and tight. So now that we have our 3, we're going to loop under our last leg here. We're going to come under this way, which is going to allow us to start tying our other diagonal this way. And we're going to do the same thing. These loops we're going to start repeating here. Now once we have our 3 loops tied, we're going to start our frapping, which our frapping is wrapping around this way. If you've watched my square lashing video, we did it in that as well. So here's our 3rd ending loop right here. It's ending here. So we're going to come under here. Let me flip this over for you. So notice how we're coming across where our 3rd one's ending, and I'm just flipping this over. And what we're going to do is, instead of going here where we normally would, we're going to go under this way. And we're going to frap it just like we would square lashing. So for the 3 we have, we're going to pull our frapping around just like this. Sorry, get my hand out of the way. So notice how it's going under this one and over that one. And we're going to do our 2 fraps. Pull really tight. And then, much like square lashing, we're going to finish on this leg with a clove hitch. I'm going to cinch that down. And there we have our basic diagonal lashing. Alright guys, so there's our diagonal lashing. This is arguably more simpler than the square lashing. Some people prefer this method better because it doesn't start with a clove hitch. Other than that, they basically have the same purpose. Personally, I like square lashing better. It's a little more secure than diagonal lashing, as you're getting pressure on the outsides of this pulling this way and these being pulled in, versus putting all the pressure in the center, which makes more of a pivot point. So diagonal lashing will supersede square lashing in a situation where you don't need a perfect X, or I mean a perfect cross, and you want more of an X or anything like in this fashion. Diagonal lashing will be a better choice versus when you're like this. Square lashing is usually a more secure route. So that being said, diagonal lashing is also quicker to do than square lashing. I mean, when you get better at them and stuff, both lashings are pretty close to each other and time-wise and all that. They use about the same amount of rope. Sometimes you can get away with less rope with the diagonal lashing than you can a square lashing. Anyway guys, if there was anything I did that you didn't quite understand or would like explained better, feel free to leave me a comment, send me a private message, or shoot me an email. I have my email in the description as always, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, practice this if you don't know it, and you can jump over to my Campcraft series as I get that up and running, and you'll be a step ahead of the game and be able to jump right in and build some of the better stuff that I will be doing in that series. So I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you around.